Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Hello again, Saint Lucia, and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. My name is Phillip Sydney. Today, we have a very interesting program. I'm not saying the other programs were not interesting, but this one is a very unusual program, very interesting, and I think you viewers are going to be very pleased with this program when it is completed. Today, we are discussing the evolution of the chief tree. What is that? I just have something before me. Imagine you have a tree with bearing all the fruits in the world. Very interesting. But I have three guests today who are going to dissect this for you. And to my immediate right is Petra Auagste. She is the creator and author of The Chief Tree. Next to her is Mr. Brent Theophile, who is a national specialist for IICA Saint Lucia. And next to him is Ramona David, who is the administrator of Shore Star Preschool, Chief Tree. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Petra, I'll start with you since you are the origin and creator, author of Chief Tree. Tell us about Chief Tree, how this idea came about.
The idea came about as a result of an incident that occurred at my school a few years ago, where one morning a child came in having a temper tantrum because she wanted to have one of those packaged snacks at about 7:30 in the morning. And her mother didn't want to give it to her, so she was screaming and crying and so on. And the mother, in total frustration, gave in to the child and gave her what she, the mother, knew was not good for the child. So I thought about it, and I realized that those little people, as I call them, have a lot of potential to frustrate parents into giving them what they want. So why not turn it around and let them want a banana or let them want something healthier, give them a reason to want healthier foods and snacks as opposed to the unhealthy things that they were having. And so we know from experience that characters such as Dora and Barney and SpongeBob and so on have an effect, a long-term effect on the children in teaching them and motivating them and keeping them, you know, consistently in their face and keeping them ready, you know, to understand concepts. So I came up with a Chief Tree, which the motto of Chief Tree is eat healthy to be healthy. And through music and jingles and the storybook, which is also a coloring book, a manual, so that the teachers and the parents can know how to use it. And the idea for the book was not just to teach children to eat healthy, because we've been doing that for a long time, but to teach them where does the food come from? How does it get to the supermarket? How does it get to our table? So we wanted to incorporate the farm and farming and so on, and that is what the storybook is all about as well.
Interesting, very interesting. Brent, where does IICA fit in this whole scenario?
Well, Sydney, IICA is a technical cooperation agency, and what that means is that we focus on initiatives in the countries where we have our offices that support the overall strategy or vision for agriculture and rural development. Okay. Now, Chief Tree might seem a far stretch talking about preschools from the usual conversation on agriculture, but let's zero in on an important thing. In all of our food and nutrition security policies in the Caribbean, they emphasize one central pillar which is critical to making all systems that are designed work, and that focuses on the matter of utilization. Utilization together with availability and accessibility produces the stability that all our food and nutrition security systems want. This directly influences that utilization pillar by encouraging the adoption of healthy eating practices and behavior by children.
Wow, wow. That's a mouthful. Ramona, tell us about your preschool. I believe, years ago, I was one that did advocate the question of healthy eating starting from the school level. Yeah. And I was also against, you know, dispensers of those, you know, foods, I believe, that are not healthy for kids, you know, the soft drinks, and the list goes on and on. But I think Ministry of Health had a of Education were challenged in that regard for a while. But I know Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Health were championing that cause. And I'm very, very happy to see at least some of the schools are getting away from this, you know. So I want to ask you, Ramona, how does that fit into your preschool program?
Well, I have been working alongside with Petra from the inception of the whole thing. And of course, we've been using our children as guinea pigs. And the children's eating habits have changed. Their mannerisms have changed. Even the parents themselves, their attitudes have changed because the children will insist on eating only those foods which Chief Tree, supports. And because of that, we've seen a lot of changes in their health patterns, and the parents themselves talk about their behaviors changing and stuff like that. So it is one of the initiatives, I think, that can be island-wide, and there can be a very great impact on the children's social development and especially their learning.
Yes.
Because if the foods are not nutritious, you have children with behavioral problems.
Definitely.
And you have to tackle behavior instead of teaching.
Yes. But Petra, the parents, how are you able to get them to buy into this whole thing?
Okay, the approach that I wanted to take with this initiative was to have it child-driven. Because for a long time, parents were the ones saying you should eat or you shouldn't eat and so on. But I wanted to take the approach where the children would be the ones that would be telling the parents, don't put this in my lunch kit because I don't want it, it's not healthy. And by using Chief Tree and the jingle and so on, we were able to get the children to say, I don't want it in my lunch kit, or I don't want, and so that it impacted the behavior of the parents themselves, because now they were like, okay, I cannot find things in the supermarket for me to give to my child because they no longer want to eat, the snacks that will be in. So I think the children are the ones that are now affecting the behavior of the parents.
Wow, very interesting. Because sometimes I remember going into the supermarket one time and you could see children wanting this on the shelf, and they would, keep the mothers and or the parents, on their toes, ensuring that they get this, and if that can be reversed in the sense that of doing the same thing but getting the right foods, I think that's a good
now
thing.
in having that approach, we were now able to collaborate with the rural women,
right?
Because what the parents were saying is that when they go to the supermarkets, they don't have choices. They don't have healthier things. They don't have local things, which is what we were promoting with Chief Tree. Not just eating healthy, but getting a palette for what was available locally. So we were able to collaborate with the rural women in trying to develop healthier snacks for the children.
Right.
So we've experimented with quite a number of different recipes using local produce, So eventually we're hoping that we can get those things on the supermarket shelves.
Very good.
We've also produced a recipe booklet for that engagement with the Saint Lucia Network of Rural Women Producers.
Okay.
And that is available on the UNDP-GEF SGP's website for Saint Lucia.
Wow. Okay. But you did a little pilot program, right? A little research.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so having the initial experiences from both Petra and Ramona from the experience at their schools, we wanted to see if the experience and the outcome would be the same in other preschools in Saint Lucia. So through resources that we got in support from the UNDP-GEF Small Grants Program, as well as with the Network of Rural Women Producers, we introduced Chief Tree into a number of preschools between the north and the south of Saint Lucia, and we did an observation of the changes in their nutrition knowledge, their knowledge on nutrition, their attitude towards healthy eating, as well as the final outcome, which would be the practices in terms of eating habits. And we did that over about a 3-month period. We had about 3 observations spaced by about 2 weeks in every case. And we did repeated observations of both the students as well as the parents at those schools. What we found is that Chief Tree material, as a result of introducing it in those schools, we saw improvements in nutrition knowledge, attitude, and practice by students. And what that means is that the information communicated about eating healthy and healthy eating options, students gained a better awareness of that. They had more information to process. It changed their attitude towards healthy eating, and we found that through questions on their preferences between healthy and unhealthy eating options, and then ultimately change their eating behavior. So at the outcome, we found students, fewer and fewer, coming to school without having had breakfast. more and more had healthier breakfasts coming to school, and we also saw a sustained pattern amongst the students of eating healthy and choosing healthy options.
Very good. We'll do for our first break. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. Back soon.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join.
Excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from IICA Saint Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The good food revolution.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. Ramona, I'm coming to you because I noticed the impact, of course, will be at your level, the school level. How are you able to see results, starting when Chief Tree was introduced to your school?
Well, after it was introduced, what we did, we had a kitchen garden.
Okay.
Yeah, where the children were involved in planting. We planted cucumbers and tomatoes. And we had a little patch of lettuce, because what happened before, the children would say, my mommy says she's not a rabbit, so she doesn't eat this. So, they wouldn't eat the lettuce, you know. But when they started growing it themselves, you know, they started eating it. And most times when they come to school with something that was not necessarily unhealthy, but it was not subscribed by Chief Tree, they would say, why are you eating this? They would tell each other, why are you eating this? Chief Tree didn't say to eat that. Your Chief Tree says you must eat this and so. So they were very conscious. They remained very, very conscious. And so after a while, we had no problems really in continuing to tell them that, you know, you're not supposed to eat this and not supposed to eat this. And so they made the choices themselves. Or they would say, tell my mommy, do not put that in my lunch kit. Tell my mommy, Chief Tree doesn't say to do this and so.
Okay.
So they were very...
Have you developed skits among themselves so that they can...
They do that all the time.
Portraying
especially with the character in the storybook, Farmer Floyd. You know, they do that all the time.
Okay. Petra, tell us about the development of that comic, the book itself.
The storybook? The storybook came about one morning again while just sitting in my office. I'm like, but you know, it would be a good idea to just write a story. So I sat and I wrote the story, and I developed those characters that the children could identify with. So there's Farmer Floyd and Corny Coconut, Bobby Banana, Mala Mango, and so on. Because I wanted it to be fun, I wanted it to be interactive, and I wanted it to be something that the children could constantly refer to, you know, in order to keep the healthy eating idea in their faces at all times. So in addition to the storybook, what we did was to develop the aprons as well that we call the smocks that we have here, and I used the same characters from the storybook on the smock. So every time they went to have lunch or their break or so on, they would put on their smocks and always remember that what they should be eating should be something healthy.
Wow, 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 wow. Brent, thus far, are you satisfied with IICA's intervention in that program, and how far are you hoping to take it throughout the island?
Well, IICA's role in this is really as a support actor. That's what we've been doing with the Chief Tree team. We've helped them in terms of resource mobilization as well as building their networks of partners and collaborators that can give them assistance that we cannot. And that's really the role that we want to maintain going forward in building those bridges and promoting the type of networking and collaboration that will help promote the program and show that. I mean, we're talking about a program that works. We've proven that it works. We want other persons to know about it and to get on board with the team in supporting them as they advance.
During the test that you carried out, how were you able to do it? Were you able to, you identified the number of children, and of course, were they weighed or anything and find out what they ate before? And was it done in that manner to give you the result that you looked for?
Okay, so the survey looked at progression over a period of time. Starting in the first week where Chief Tree was introduced, we got a snapshot of what the current preferences, attitude, and behavior of the students were like with regards to a few key nutrition parameters.
Right.
So that formed the basis for future observations. It was from that baseline that we could see improvements in the students. Like I said, we saw a diminished preference for unhealthy items, increased preference for healthy food items, so much so that parents were also influenced by the students. We did, remember I said we did a survey amongst the parents themselves, and the attitude of the parents towards providing their children with healthy options. We confirmed that was in fact changed.
Okay. Did you see at your level, Ramona, the kids in terms of performance? Did it reflect performance?
The behavior, you know, the anxiety and hyperactivity is kind of lowered, you know, and they became more attentive, for one thing, and they ate better as well.
But did it result in terms of in result-oriented programs after exams? Do you see? Did they excel?
Well, it's a preschool, and it's an exam. So the only thing you have a developmental assessment. That's what you have.
Okay. How are you able to merchandise this thing? You know, so that you know all of Saint Lucia gets to know and understand what's happening.
Well, the impact of Chief Tree can be so wide-reaching in terms of the linkages that we could build with the farmers. Because take, for example, if we have, let's say, 300 children or 400 preschoolers wanting to eat more bananas, that means the farmers would have to be able to meet that demand as well. So we're impacting the farmers, and we're impacting, once we can get the children to eat what is grown locally, because for too long, we've been saying, oh, my child doesn't eat dasheen, or my child doesn't eat green figs and don't like the bananas. But once we prepare it in a way that it's appealing to the children and it's you know, it's tasty, then we can begin to get them wanting to eat what is grown locally. And so the farmers now have to up their game because you have a new market now that you have to meet the demands for. So we're impacting the farmers, we're impacting the health bill because our children are not getting as sick, and the obesity and the non-communicable diseases that we're seeing on the increase will be decreased. And just imagine that we can have a whole generation of children, once we can continue to keep it in their face, by the time they're in grade 4, grade 5, they've already have inculcated those healthy eating habits. And so we would now, in maybe in the next 5-10 years, once we could get it to work the way we want it to work, can see a long-term impact that it could have on our food import-export bill, the health, you know, and so on. So I think we have a lot of tentacles, a lot of branches, like I like to call them at Chief Tree, and we can impact, we can get a lot of fruit, we can bear a lot of fruit if we do it the way that we want to do it.
One important factor in Chief Tree is
that point, we can go in for a break. You're watching Agriculture on the Move, stay tuned. Welcome back. Brent, you were about to make a point before the break.
Yes, I was going to say that operationally, when we talk about agricultural development and human development in general, there's an important linkage that we need to connect the dots on. That is between agriculture, health, and education. And one of the things that really motivated IICA's involvement and willingness to give support to this program is because it does just that. It addresses the issues of utilizing the healthy foods. So, I mean, sometimes we hear persons say that, oh, they can't afford or the healthy foods are not available, but we produce it locally.
That's right.
We can directly influence that aspect of it. We can also directly influence the human capital issue, which is a critical issue for the Caribbean when we talk about strategic development.
Yes.
Our single greatest resource are our people. So if we have an unhealthy workforce growing up,
Forget it.
poor performance at school, poor performance in the workforce, that directly impacts on our economic well-being.
Definitely.
And then we have the high cost of poor health to the Caribbean. Persons don't understand that. Health is a serious business.
It
It's
is.
a very costly business for us.
Correct.
We have increasing incidences of chronic non-communicable diseases amongst, especially amongst our preschoolers at a very, very, very early age. We have persons developing type 2 diabetes in the Caribbean region. We need to do something about that.
Yeah.
And this is one tool that can help us make a meaningful impact there.
Yeah, and I think it goes right back to the parents have to play a very, very critical role in that regard.
Agreed.
And I'm wondering whether, I remember growing up, I think I was sharing that with you some time ago. I grew up on a farm, and you know, when lunch is served on a Sunday is the bee dashing and the bee yam and stuff like this. And next morning they just take that bee dashing and put it next to the show, and they chauffeur the thing and give you a bee dashing, you know, and your cow's milk, and that's what I know, right? I mean, you cannot give a kid now, you know, a bee dashing, you know. And I was telling her one day, a friend of mine, she gave the child dashing to eat, and the children never ate it. So I took it and I got some saltfish and I mashed it and I rolled it in some breadcrumb and I fried it.
Yeah.
And in 2 2 that same dashing was gone.
Yes.
you know. Yeah. So I'm saying here, how do you all work with the parents to ensure that they too can prepare, you know, so that the kids can get a healthy meal?
Okay, well, one of the things that we did in addressing that particular issue was to collaborate with the network of rural women producers to develop a number of recipes.
Good.
We also took it one step further and did a training activity for a number of the cooks and chefs at some of the preschools here in Saint Lucia. And this was the same kind of feedback we got. You prepare the dashing, you prepare the yam, the green fig, you present it one way, the students don't touch it. You present it differently. And that's why we focused our training on. New ways of preparing and presenting local foods, and we had fabulous results. Fabulous results.
How does the Ministry of Health and Education on that program?
Well, we have not heard much from them yet, but we're hoping to engage them.
But how old is this program?
6 years.
6 years, and then
6 years since we started.
Yeah.
But it's only after IICA came on board and Jeff came on board and we've done the pilot program and so on that we really begin to see movement. But for a long time we took it to the ministry and yes, and you know, we approached health, we approached education a few years back and nothing came out of it. So we will try again.
Where are we going?
We will try again.
We did get some support from health through the chief nutritionist.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
From Lisa.
From
yes.
Lisa Hunt.
Yes,
Yeah,
Lisa.
She
She's been
contributed to the
very
implementation of
helpful.
this.
Yeah.
There's another group from Foster Jacques Soufre, the Rainforest Foods.
Yes.
And they produce some granolas and stuff like that. Have you all been working with them?
What we're trying to do now, because remember I told you that in order for us to keep this and to get the results that we want, we have to keep the children stimulated. We have to keep them motivated. So the idea now is to find as many people that can come on board with us, that can provide us with stuff that we could brand in the Chief Tree brand. So a child going into the supermarket with their mother would see a Chief Tree product and would say, okay, I know, you know, this is what I want as opposed to something else. So we're looking to collaborate with as many local people as possible in order to develop new products that we can give to our children. And we're also trying to keep it in their face as well by developing merchandising items as well. So you see we have the bags, we have the smocks, the storybooks, and gradually we'll be adding more items so that we can constantly have Chief Tree in the children's face with a message of eating healthy to be healthy.
Okay, so this, Ramona, it's in the bookstores, right?
This is at Balmore.
At Valmont. Okay, all right. But you're another way forward, I'm thinking, maybe to have maybe a little roadshow or something in that regard, where you all can actually get it in your face, maybe use the boulevard one day, you know, maybe have the kids walk the streets, say for example, if you use Carmen Rainey School, and they walk from there down the street into the square or something, and have something nice on the square, that kind of thing. So awareness is
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe that is something, you know.
We're definitely exploring new opportunities for networking and collaboration. Now that we've had some foundational evidence that this works and how it can work effectively in schools, it gives us a platform where we can now stand proudly and say, come collaborate with us, come work with us.
Yes.
Thus far, we have received an invitation to participate in a national nutrition knowledge fair that's been organized by the UNDPGF and a number of other partners, aiming later in December this year. But like I said, we're open. We've had recent talks with the Taiwanese mission here in Saint Lucia, as well as the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, and they have expressed their support and willingness to collaborate with us on a number of areas that we're exploring right now.
Okay. You'll have a mascot?
We're in the process of getting one.
All right.
Yes.
Good. Of course, you have heard about our World Food Day activity. We have a fair on the 14th of October down in Fordo. Yes. I was hoping that you all would participate.
Oh, we'll be available for next year. God
next
willing.
year?
Yes.
Yeah, so I just want to, you know, that, you know, because we need to, one of the tagline we have in the ministry is eat fresh. Saint Lucia's best. Right. Okay, and that's the tagline we're running with at World Food Day, and you know, because we need to ensure and that we start at that level, the preschool level, and take it up. And so that, like you mentioned, you know, at the end of the day, we would have a healthy nation. You understand, and of course the impact it would have on, you know, government spending. That's right. You know, and stuff like. So I think it's very important. Final words from you, Ramona.
Well, I'm hoping that people who watch the program will see the importance of eating healthy, to be healthy, because it's a long-range goal that even governments have, that they have a healthy nation. And that people who can use the initiative, especially young people who have gone to secondary school and who have done food and nutrition, that they use the initiative to create healthy foods that at least we can brand. Because our brand must always proclaim what we believe in, which is eating healthy to be healthy. So it's not just a matter of preparing something, it must be healthy, meeting our brand standards, so that we can disseminate to the general public.
Very good. Brent?
And just to say that the ladies have an exceptional tool. This is something that does what a number of our food and nutrition security policies advocate for, which is strengthening the willingness to consume and the willingness to buy healthy food items. We found that this works, and we want to tell everyone that this does in fact work, and we're open to collaboration. We're looking forward to persons contacting us and seeing where we can collaborate together.
Yeah, and to you, Petra, I don't know what formula you're going to use to ensure that the other ministries come on board, especially the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, in a big way, because I'm thinking here, that's the way to go. Already you have IICA, who was giving a good support.
Yeah, but I keep telling Brent all the time, and I keep telling them that all the time, that it's important that we have agencies like IICA with us to support us, because when we go and we sit with other stakeholders at a higher level, we can say, and I have to thank the Ministry of Agriculture, because you all have been very, very supportive of this whole initiative. And so when we sit with education, we sit with health, we can say, we have agriculture on board, we have IICA, we have Jeff, we have OECS. So what are you doing, you know? So I want to thank all of the agencies who have so far come on board and supported us, and we look forward to even more collaboration in driving this whole message home.
How does Chief Tree catapult itself to Dominica and other islands?
But through the OECS, I guess, you know, through the OECS and, you know, other agencies. We're looking forward to going into the other islands. We have been speaking as well with the French from to get into Martinique, Guadeloupe, and Cayenne, and the book is already translated into French. So we are on our way.
Okay, very good. Well, I would like to thank you, Petra, for being here as the creator and author of Chief Tree. Brent, thank you again for the support
Most welcome.
from IICA you've given them. I think you have done such a wonderful job. doing
These
so.
are the type of
Marvelous.
initiatives that I
Marvelous.
personally
Very
enjoy
good.
working on.
Ramona, thanks again for being here and also ensuring that the kids are created in that environment that they are happy now and they're healthier, and of course, and they can be less active. Thanks again for being here. I wish you all success.
Thank you for having us.
You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. Thank you for viewing. I hope parents, you all take heed, and of course, buy the book, and introduce it to your kids. Let them paint, and keep on reading and change your menu. No more be dashing and yam. I'm Phillip Sydney saying goodbye and see you again.
I think it's too much past.
Yeah, thank you again.
Too much past.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.